All right, test 1, 2. Looks like we're good. We're recording. Going to have a good day. All right. Good morning, everybody. All right. Hey, I want to start class today by following up on something that we talked about yesterday in Design Center training. You remember the conversation about when you have a listing that Design Center will auto-populate a number of basic templates?
Yeah.
What you need? Oh, of course, yeah. No problem. Okay, so let me do a quick demo on what that looks like. Okay, so that when you get a listing, you'll see how simple it is, and actually this would be true if you go on a listing conversation. So it's extremely relevant to what we're talking about today. How do you all log into Lead Street? What's your method? You go in through the Remax of Texas website. You know, you can also go in through Main Street. Go to My Leads.
Well, that's how I do it, that one.
Okay, so through Main Street, My Leads. You can also go in through your agent website. And the reason I'm stressing this is yesterday I tried to go into Lead Street through Main Street and the My Leads link was down. So I had to scramble and say, okay, how am I going to get into Lead Street?
Was Remax of Texas personal website still? Because people could not access my website all day yesterday.
I did not have that issue. This was just Main Street. And in fact, the way I figured it out was to go through my agent website, which is the page I'm on. You scroll down to the very bottom where it says Agent Access, and it will take you right in. So, what I want to do is just show you very quickly how you can access all these auto-populated Design Center templates, which makes it super, super simple to create marketing pieces. So I'm into Lead Street. I'm going to go into Listings at the top tab. I could go, let's pick on Alana, because she's got a listing and she's not here. So I think that's very appropriate. Let's pick on her. View. She comes in, will really shock her. Okay, so she has a listing and this is it, right here. So we're going to view it. And now you'll see in the upper right there's a tab that says Remax Design Center right there. So we click on that, boom, and look at all these templates ready to go. These are flyers, postcards.
That's not in mine. How'd you get that?
You don't have a listing.
Oh, only when you get a
When you get a listing, you get access to this. Okay?
Because I stay away from that because I've looked and it's like there's nothing, you know, it's just the brochure.
Yes. Yes, yes. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's choose this. I'm just going to select it. This is a virtual tour. Here, all right, nobody say anything else. Okay. Hi, Alana. How are you doing? So glad you're here. No problem. So, here we go. We're going to select a folder for this Misty Crossing listing. Let's just call it the Staten listing. Can we do that? Okay, we got to give it a project name since it's a virtual tour. Oh, I don't want this. Oh, you know what it's doing? For some reason, it's talking to me. We'll turn the sound off. Let's call this virtual tour. You're going to love this. Okay. We're going to confirm. You're the only one in the room with a listing.
Oh.
Okay, so we're practicing on you.
I love it.
And we're showing, what we did, Alana, is show how simple it is to go into Lead Street and access all the templates that are already formatted with all of your information because it pulled it directly from the MLS. Exactly. So in this case, it's already pulled in your photos. See, we didn't have to upload anything. It's already there. It's wanting me to crop all of them. Now, I could adjust these if I wanted to, you know, and pull it down, you know, a little bit more. It does. It's not going to put the whole photo in. You see, it's only going to do an area that big.
Oh,
Okay, now I could come in and pull the corner in and get rid of some of this white wall
right.
right there.
It has me top on take the photos in too, so it's going to be at the top and then I guess for a different format.
Yes. So all I'm doing is automatically accepting all their suggested crops in the interest of speed here, because I want to show you how quick this is. Okay, so there's your remarks. They're already in. It pulled them in from the MLS. There we go. We're going to use the default audio file. If we wanted to get fancy, we could change that up. We're not going to change any of your contact info, although you could personalize it if you wanted to for each situation. And now preview. Okay, so that literally 90 seconds, that whole thing. And now I'll turn the sound back on.
Did she have to pay for that?
No, this is Design Center.
Yeah, I remember there was something you had to pay for something. That's like the upgrade.
Yeah. Don't worry about any of that. This is all the free stuff. Now look, if you click on these tabs, it's on details, so it gives you all the property information at the bottom. Now we can go to remarks, and that's what's populated here. Photos, if we want all the little thumbnails, or contact information, boom.
How do I keep that?
It's there.
She just did.
It's there. It's already,
I haven't done that. That's awesome.
yeah, it's already in your folder because we just created it right there. Okay?
Okay, so now if I log into that, I
Okay.
can put it to those where it says Facebook and
Yes.
just by clicking on
If
it?
you just click on Facebook, it's automatically going to load on your Facebook, or there's so many different things you can do with it. I want to show you this from the beginning, so I'm going to go back a moment here. Are y'all okay with this if we just do another one real quick? So what we did is we logged into Lead Street, right? And since I'm a manager, I have access to everybody's Lead Street, so we pulled up your account. Now watch this. We pulled up your listing, right, under Listings. There it is. We're going to click View. There's your listing right there. Now look at this tab right here, Remax Design Center. This doesn't show up unless you have a listing. That's why we're picking on you, because you got one. Okay? And then here's all the projects. Now this one doesn't, let's just select this little property flyer right here. So I selected it. It's automatically going to put your photos in it. It's automatically going to put your text and contact info in.
Without having to do it.
It's pulling everything from the MLS.
I did the one where I had to what we did yesterday, where it was called, I don't know, what was that, where you create your own. And I had to,
Pull each one in.
yeah.
Yes.
And the very first one I did, I didn't even really like the way it was formatted, so then because the way the pictures went together, it looked like rooms ran into, so I chose one that had borders the next time because of the way the pictures looked in it. So this is really neat that you can choose from the ones that just.
Anyone you want, yes. Now for some reason, okay, there we go. It was slowing down on me. So we just selected that. We're confirming our data. We have to put it in a folder.
So yesterday's was not Lead Street.
Yesterday was Design Center.
And this is through Lead Street.
It's how the two come together, okay?
When you have a listing, Design Center sends you flyers into the district.
I guess I haven't logged in. Is Lead Street the thing that I kicked out of?
Yes.
You got kicked out of?
Or not logging in?
Yep. Well, here's all it means. If you don't log in, it's every 7 or 14 days or whatever, then all it means is you don't get more leads until you log back in, okay? So again, it's pulled in your photos. It's only using 4 because it's a property flyer. We're going to save and continue. I'm going to take all their suggested crops. We could adjust them if we wanted to be fancier, but we're being quick. Okay, there's all your remarks. We're going to accept all your contact information as is and preview.
This is probably look better than
that amazing? So let me, here's one way you can use this. If you're going on a listing appointment, you could actually go to the property the day before or that morning and just take a few exterior shots, or take a shot of the entrance to the neighborhood, of the community pool, and then maybe an exterior shot of the home. And then you could go back and create all these marketing pieces. Again, it won't be as simple as what we just did because it's not going to be in the MLS, but it's almost as simple, because all you do then is upload all of those photos to Design Center and they're available to you, and you can pull them into any project. So it's not as quick, but you could certainly put together a property flyer and a little virtual tour in just a few minutes. Okay? But this is the simplest. When you get the listing, it's all done for you. And by the way, I spent about an hour last night at home because the Steelers game was kind of boring to me. And I went on Animoto, which is a video production website that one of the HAR ladies was pushing, the social media. So I went there, I played with it. I created a little virtual tour. And you know what? It was not as good as this. And it's only 30 seconds long, and they only let you use 10 photos. It's free, but its capabilities are so narrow unless you're going to pay more money. This is very robust without the premium service. Just the basic free to you is all that you need. Okay? All right, so I just wanted to start by demonstrating that. Also, I wanted to share with you before we get into the class, which I promise you we are going to get there, an insight I had this morning while preparing for this class. And that is that the basic listing conversation and the basic buyer conversation are probably the most important classes for you guys. The reason I say that is, in looking back, we kind of threw you immediately into lead generation classes. Open house, FSBO, expired, even marketing. All of those are ways to get in front of buyers and sellers. But you're not going to be real confident about doing that if you don't know what to say once you get in front of them. And so I'm going to kind of turn this upside. I'm going to kind of rework it and put the focus on conversion conversations. So now this was already on the schedule, basic listing conversation, but I have changed up the schedule as of this morning, okay, so that next Tuesday, Robin Kitzmiller is going to come in and do a Fusion CMA class for us, okay? And I am going to recommend that you go with Fusion, even though I'm a PC guy, so Tempo is much more comfortable for me. Fusion has more robust capabilities, and if you put a buyer prospect on a saved search in Fusion, it updates every 15 minutes versus every 24 hours, so that they're notified much quicker. It could be as much as a day quicker than another buyer who's been signed up under Tempo.
So under Fusion, it will read out, I think it read out all of the non-active. I didn't even know that you could do that. You just said that.
Yeah, okay.
Like, what I did for Carolyn, which was a problem, is I set up something on Property Finder
Yes,
on Lead through our website.
yes.
But it gave her active, option pending.
Okay, through Remax you did that.
through Remax.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, are you saying basically through PAR or Fusion, I can make sure she doesn't see anything that has option pending?
Yes. Now, I didn't say that, but I don't know where you got that out of what I said, but
You said it updates it.
okay, let me explain that.
I just assumed that.
What I meant that very specifically with new listings
Okay.
coming online.
But can you pull out option pending?
Yes. When you set up your saved search, in that upper right-hand corner, you can get active, expired, sold, option pending.
Just like I was searching a property.
Exactly. You can save a search just like that. Okay? So we're going to do Fusion CMA next week, and then if you'll flip it over, the following week is going to be buyer conversion. And basically what that means, it's not necessarily how to show property, but it's the conversation that you have with a buyer before you show property to determine that they are motivated, qualified, and loyal. Okay, so that you are being extremely proactive about the use of your time. Okay, so that's where I'm going to put the emphasis in our training for the next few weeks, and I am more than willing to change this again if we decide that in listing or buyer conversion we need to go deeper on any issue. And that could be the CMA again. It could be navigating MLS. It could be setting up saved searches. It could be, okay, how do we show property? What's the strategy for showing property? How many should we show? How do we set it up even on a map basis? How do we tour a home? How do we keep ourselves safe? I'm happy to go as deep as we can on those because I want you all to be extremely confident that when you get in front of a buyer or seller, you know exactly what to do. You know what you're talking about. That doesn't mean you'll be at mastery of it, because you don't get mastery without experience, but you'll be confident enough to say, bring me a buyer, bring me a seller, or I'll go get me a buyer and go get me a seller. Okay? Yes. Oh my goodness, yes. Yes, absolutely. There's nothing that will accelerate your learning like getting a buyer or a seller. Okay? Yeah, it will definitely accelerate the process. Yes.
My first time on property desk. Oh, as soon as they hung up.
Right.
I should have said this.
Right. Yeah, well, and again, go back and review the Marketing Bootcamp material, which tells you exactly how to handle a property call. And the whole intent is, when we talk about pathway to mastery, is you have those aha moments after every interaction with the buyer or seller. And the whole point is just to learn from that. Because you can't be brilliant right out of the gate. It's only with an intentional process of getting better and better. So let's get into this, because this class actually is designed to be taught as a 6-hour class. Okay? 2 3-hour classes on this material, these 41 pages. We're going to cover it in about 1 hour and 40 minutes. That's because I'm going to skip some pages, and we're not going to take time and do role play, which is a huge part of it. But because I'm anxious just to get you exposed to this material. And then if we want to come back and do a follow-up on it next week or the following week, that's part of what I'm talking about, that I'll be flexible about that. Because I think it's critically important that you are confident around a listing conversation. How many of y'all have been on a listing conversation already? Okay. And Alana, was yours a conversation or was it just a gimme? That's all right.
Was that a conversation for my listing?
Did you go in almost like in a competitive situation where you needed to sell your value and to determine their needs?
It wasn't competitive.
It was come list my house? Yeah.
I know them, but I did have to convince the ex-husband that I'm friends with the wife. So there was a little bit of
Yeah.
that. I had to, there was a given with her, it was a divorce situation, so I did have to go have a meeting separately with her and discuss.
Okay.
Have to be ethical and
Okay.
even though I'm friends with her, I would do the best job.
Great.
So
Okay.
a little bit of it, but not, I wasn't competing against other agents to my knowledge.
Okay, so here's my disclaimer right up front. There are many different strategies for having a listing conversation. And I should probably pause right there because I'm using language that may sound a little bit unusual. Typically, this is called a listing. An agent works on their listing presentation, right? And we're coaching a completely different approach, not a listing presentation, a listing conversation. Okay? And the difference is just the level of engagement that you have with the seller. A presentation is more, let me wow you with how wonderful I am and my company is and my past success and my marketing program, whereas a conversation is much more focused on the seller, on what they need out of the transaction, their needs, and then determine if a win-win relationship can be created out of that. Okay, so it's very much built around engagement in conversation. Okay? Okay? Yeah. Now, I think you have to be prepared, and particularly we'll get into this when we talk about your marketing plan. You need to be able to demonstrate. People will believe what you can logically and tangibly explain. So you need to be able to show them, something they can put their hands on or something they could see on a screen that validates what you're saying about being able to sell their home at a price and in a time frame that meets their needs. So it's not just all chit-chat, but it's primarily driven by conversation. Okay? Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to go fairly quickly through most of these pages. This is the course overview. We're teaching a conversational approach, you just heard me say that, to helping sellers make informed, intelligent listing decisions. We're going to increase them through this conversation. They're going to learn through this conversation so that at the end, they can make not just any decision, but an informed decision based upon what they have learned from us. The expectation is after this class, you'll feel confident enough to enter into working relationships with serious sellers. Okay? You'll be eager to go have that conversation because you'll know that you have a process that you can go through with them that determines whether or not their needs can be met. And if you can meet their needs, then you're going to be very confident in taking the listing. If not, you'll be very confident in walking away because it won't be a win-win relationship. Okay? The result, 16 to 110 listings. We'll see those numbers on the next page. Here's the plan. It's the operational model. And you'll see that 4 of the 5 prospecting sources are identified. What's missing there, by the way? On the operational models, not there. Cheat sheet's not there. Okay? Okay, open houses. And that should be here. In fact, I would encourage you to write that in because we prospect to generate, in this case, seller leads. Can you generate a seller lead from an open house? You surely can. So let's put that in there. We're trying to open up new seller relationships, put them into our client care systems, and then market the relationship. By the way, we only have 4 marketing relationships listed there. What's missing? Yes, and again, I have no explanation for that. Let's write it in there because it should definitely be there. Okay? What's that? It's starting to sink in. Okay? Okay, great. So we're basically, from all the prospecting sources that we've been talking about, all the lead generation classes that we've had, all of those are intended to generate new relationships. Some of those will be sellers. Once we we convert them, we'll have the opportunity to generate new business. So that's how this class fits into that. The strategy we're coaching is relationship-based listing, and all these classes, many of which you've already had, some of them are to come, are related to this. Because we're not going to teach you in this class, for example, how to get a seller lead. We're just going to teach you what to do with it once you get it. Okay? We're not going to teach you what to do once you get it, after you convert it. Okay, so you have the listing agreement. What comes next? That's another class. Okay, so this class is specifically focused on what happens between the time I set the listing conversation, the listing appointment, and I leave with it in hand. What happens in that time frame? Okay, here are the financial consequences. I'm not going to take time to go through this. It basically just demonstrates that if you just have one listing conversation set per week, one appointment set, at very low conversion rates, you can expect 8 closings a year out of that. And I'm going to say that even now, in this market, with your level of proficiency at pricing, your sale rate should be 95%, which means 16 listings, even at a beginner level, at low conversion rates. Okay. Average sale price in the Woodlands, $300,000. Let's be conservative and scale that down to $200,000 because everything we sell is not in the Woodlands. $6,000 GCI there. So we're talking about $90,000 in income, even at beginner level, out of your listing department. And you've got 2 departments, right? Listing and selling, working with buyers, right? So 90,000 out of this at beginner levels. Okay, here's the know, do, have on this strategy. It's, again, everything you need to know is dialogue. Confirming dialogue, message 1, 2, 3 dialogue, and closing dialogue. All of that we're going to cover in the manual. What you have to have, there's a fairly extensive list. So we've listed it on another page, page 37. It's nothing that's overwhelming or intimidating, but it's too long to fit on this page. Okay, so we'll get to that at the appropriate time. But basically, all you need to know is what to say. What to say to guide the conversation appropriately. Okay? So here are the core beliefs that you need to get in your head before you go on a listing conversation. And let's take a minute and get our heads in the right place around some of these. And as you review them again, I want you to think very specifically about the conversation you're having with a seller and how these beliefs relate to that. Okay, so first of all, which of these resonate with you? Okay. And how does that relate to this? Yes, it is. If you're uncomfortable, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. If you're comfortable this soon, that means you've settled. I don't want y'all settling. Yeah. Now.
That's my motto every morning. This time next year, this is a lot.
Yes. Yes. That's right. It gets better. It does. They eventually change their own diapers. You know, it's that kind of thing. So, yeah, okay. I remember when I joined Remax, not as an agent. I just joined as a management consultant. So it was just learning the Remax tools and services. It was 6 months. And it literally was one of those clouds parting moments where like, now I get it. Now I see how it all fits together. Of course, you're learning both Remax and what it's like to be an agent, which is even bigger with all the tools and services.
I have a quick suggestion.
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out how to do it.
Yes.
I think it would come from an agent. Stephen is doing that roundtable, but what would be a big class for me personally I'm having problems with is kind of organization.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I have leases, I have Excel, and I don't know what I need to keep, what I don't need to keep. You scan everything back into it.
Yes.
It's an organization thing, and I'm noticing other agents are already there. I'm
Yes.
doing that, and I keep telling my family, in a couple of months, everything's
Right.
going to be a lot smoother because I'll know what to do and what not to do, but I don't know that yet for a fact. I'm just telling them that.
Okay, so let me say that Stephen is a great one to speak to that. In fact, the way I've described it, I actually had a class on the schedule which I bumped off, which was called Practice Management, which was how we keep all of this straight. So it's not just piles of paper or electronic files in different places. But I have talked to Stephen and Betty about their filing system, and it's very organized. Yes.
He has great files,
Yes.
and my files don't.
Yes. So that's a Friday question.
Yeah, okay.
It's the 27th, a week from this Friday.
So you bump that off the schedule because the next one's Wednesday, or just
I felt like there was another priority. I can put it back on. That's why I said I'm open-minded. Okay? But let's have our conversation with Stephen, which is at the end of next week. And then if we need more, then I'll put it back on the calendar. Okay? Okay, great. Any of these that you don't really understand or don't understand how they relate to a listing conversation?
Cost is only an issue in the absence of value.
Okay?
Me, my value, or as an agent,
Mhm.
or the value of the home.
Yeah, we're speaking specifically about your value as the agent, because it's in the listing conversation where sellers will try to beat you up on your commission. And so, ain't happening. That's where you need to be able to demonstrate your value, because if they perceive you to be just like every other agent, and they do not believe every other agent is worth a full commission, then you're not going to get it.
But that argument in itself is cost power, because every other agent, I know people don't like to say this, but 6% is actually like the number. I've done a couple of deals just in person. That was 6%.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it's not a win-win situation.
Yeah.
If you go to someone else, they're going to tell you the same thing that I'm telling
Yeah.
you. So.
Okay, so let me give you a real-life example of that. I walked every home in my neighborhood over the weekend, literally. Went to every door. Didn't knock. No, left a walking card. But it was about 190 homes. It took me 3 hours. I did this during the Texans game. It was like 120 degrees, okay? And I discovered there's only one house for sale in my neighborhood, and it's a FSBO. It's the FSBO I have been talking to, right? Since we had the FSBO class. And what he told me is, yeah, I'm having a lot of people contact me. I don't think I'm going to have any problem selling it myself. And if I decide I need to list it, I already had a guy call me and tell me for $200 he'll put it on the MLS. Okay?
I ran into those guys already.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
They're not going to be in centralized showing. It's going to be some.
Oh, right. They're not going to be there for negotiations. There may not even be any contract. I mean, but the FSBO right now perceives me to be the same as this guy who will do it for $200. So why should he pay me? So it's basically $200 and 3% to the co-op. Although he said, I think I'm going to offer $2 if I have to do that. I mean, the guy's in total left field. He'll never sell the home under those circumstances. But at this point, because he perceives us to have the same value, he's unwilling to pay me more to list his home. So that's why if you want to get a full commission, then you need to demonstrate value beyond. Now, not in every case. Many sellers just expect to pay 6%. That's just part of the deal, but not all. And it will, I guarantee you, it will come up, even with your friends, even with your family. They'll say, hey, we'd like to work with you, but so-and-so's offered X. We'll be glad to work with you if you can match that. Okay? So, this class doesn't really go deep on the commission objection. We do have a class on the schedule called pricing objections, which goes listing objections, things that come up in this conversation that you need to be able to reply to. So in that class, we'll go deeper on how to respond to that. Okay? Maria, Alana, anything on this page before we go deeper?
I didn't know what non-agreement
Okay. Yeah, it's unacceptable to leave the seller's money on the table. That's dialogue you might have to have with the seller. For example, what it means is, as your professional real estate consultant, it's unacceptable to me for you not to get all the money that you can out of this transaction. If you walk away leaving your money on the table, you're giving money away that you didn't have to. I didn't do my job. It's unacceptable to me. It should be unacceptable to you. Where that will come up is quite often in a pricing discussion where the seller wants to start high. Okay, so you've demonstrated the home market value is at 180. It will sell at 180, and they want to come in at 195 just to test the market. Okay, won't hurt to start a little high. We can always come down. And so there's a couple beliefs that play into this. First of all, what's put in motion stays in motion. If we start lowering the price, there's a momentum there. Newton's law takes over, and we can demonstrate statistically that homes that start higher than market value sell for less than market value. Homes that start at market value sell at market value. And so for me to price your home high, to go in at $195, is going to result in you leaving money on the table. That should be unacceptable to both of us. Okay? All right. All right, let's keep rolling then. Okay, so the 7 vital listing responsibilities, just a quick review. Here's the 7 pieces of the listing relationship. From lead generation finding, that's what our FSBO and expired and marketing is all about. Lead conversion, number 2, that's what this class is about. Out of the 7 vital listing responsibilities, we're just focused on number 2 today. Once we get the listing, we go to administrative prep, marketing and exposure, presenting and negotiating offers, preparing for closing, and then post-closing activities and follow-up. Okay, if you'll look at the next page, the 47 vital listing responsibilities, so each of those 7 responsibilities is broken down into their listing activities, and we're focused just on lead conversion, or activities number 2 through 9. Okay, so that's, again, I want you to see where this class is in the overall picture. By the way, if you're focusing on sellers right now, trying to get a listing, this is a good list for you to review. And if you get a listing, man, to start working down the list, because it's pretty much all on here. What do I do next? Well, just follow it, because the items are actually in sequence. Okay? I would encourage you actually to start retyping this list. And as you go through it, put in things that you do very specifically. So let me just give you a quick example. Go with me to the next page under marketing and exposure. It says place in MLS and other websites. Okay, well that's pretty straightforward. Look up just listed phone numbers and addresses. Okay, I'd pause right there. How do I do that in my business? There's lots of ways to do that. But this is my vital activities list. So where do I get just listed